Hi guys, welcome to WeLoveBetting. I'm Jim Knight here at goal.com HQ, and I'm going to be running through some team goals bets for this weekend. I made my WeLoveBetting debut last week, got 2 out of 3 correct selections with Chelsea and Leyton Orient obliging. Around even money mark. Scunthorpe let us down unfortunately, but as Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 isn't bad, so we'll hope to get at least 2 out of 3 this week. And we're looking at a slightly depleted Football League coupon because of the FA Cup 4th round ties that are going on. So let's run through the stats and the teams, and I'll let you guys decide what you think of the bets. The first one, we're going to start at Blackburn. Ewood Park, they host Derby County this weekend, and we're looking at the away side here to score 2 or more, so Derby County over 1.5 goals. Blackburn were given a bit of a pasting by Nottingham Forest, Derby's East Midland rivals, at the weekend last week, Saturday. They lost 4-1, and it could have been a lot worse were it not for Simon Eastwood in the Rovers goal, who kind of kept it down, the score down a little bit to a respectable level, if nothing else. Gary Bowyer was very critical of the refs in that game, but there were 2 penalties, one of which was a dead set, I think, and one was quite questionable. But Forest still got the run of the Rovers' roost, as it were, and managed to score 4 goals. And I think Derby could be a good candidate to score 2 or more against them at Ewood Park this weekend. So Blackburn they're not the poorest in the league at home. They've got a decent record at Ewood Park, but I think they'll have a tough game on their hands here, based on the fact Birmingham, Millwall and Forest have all scored twice against them in the last 7 games. I think they could come unstuck a little bit. They've got a very poor record against the top 7, which is something to mention about Rovers. So played a 1 none, lost 4, drawn 4. So they don't exactly fare well against the division's top sides. Derby got back to winning ways against Brighton at the weekend. Pride Park won 1-0. Oscar Garcia set his Brighton side up, I think, not to lose that game, as opposed to go out and be too ambitious and win it. And Derby did well to grind them down and grind out the win with a good second half performance. I think Derby enjoy playing on the counter a lot, which is part of the reason they do so well away. So they've got 26 points away in the league campaign so far, compared to 19 at home. So I think they enjoy having the onus on the opposition to come and attack them, and then try and get their pacey midfield and strikers kind of breaking away and scoring goals on the counter attack. They're the highest scorers in the Championship with 50 goals, which is always an encouraging sign for this bet as well. When you're backing a team's goals, always look for high scoring teams in the Championship, or teams that have scored well recently. Away from home, they've been fairly prolific of late, so they've scored 2 or more in 3 of their last 5 in the Championship, and not failed to score on the last 8 Championship away days. So you'd expect them to trouble Rovers' defence, which haven't exactly been solid of late. They don't have the best record against the elite sides either, Derby. Not a good record against the top 4, but I think there are enough reasons here to believe they have a better chance than the odds suggest. Derby have covered 2 or more in 8 of their 13 away games this season, and only failed to score in 1 of those, which was Nottingham Forest. I like the signing of Patrick Bamford, who has come from Chelsea via MK Dons, where he was on loan for the first half of the season, and he's come in and hit the ground running. Scored the winning goal against Brighton at the weekend, and also got in his last 6 games for MK Dons before he left, got 4 goals. So that adds to the goals already in the team, courtesy of the likes of Chris Martin and Jamie Ward. And you've got the likes of Will Hughes dictating the pace in midfield, and I think there's plenty of goals in this Derby team, and as much as it pays me to say it, they could be a real promotion contender this year. I think they'll expose a Blackburn side, as I said, who are low on confidence, come off the back of a couple of big losses, and I think they are decent value here. So the price for Derby to score over 1.5 goals is 13-8 as we record. So I think that one is well worth a look. The second selection comes from the Rotherham game. They got another comprehensive win against Shrewsbury, whose manager has since stepped down on Tuesday, albeit they weren't on a great run of form, but that wasn't a one-off, and I think there are enough stats and good form here to suggest that Rotherham could be a good thing this weekend. So 7 goals in their last 2 games, then they've now scored 2 or more in 8 of their last 12 matches in League One. And their games against the bottom half, which is the key stat here, I think. They've notched twice in 10 of their 14 games that they've played against the bottom half side. So they really do put the pressure on when they're playing a team from the lower half of League One. They don't seem to have one out-and-out goal scorer. I think they over-rely on, which is a good thing. The goals tending to be spread around. Kieran Agard, Lee Frecklington and Ben Pringle have all been quite good goal-scoring form of late. So they're just the three of the names to look out for, hopefully, this weekend. And they also beat Crawley, who they've got this weekend, in 2-1 in the reverse fixture, which is always a bit of a psychological thing, I think, when you beat the team already. And that was away as well. So Rotherham at home this weekend, so I think they can do this. Crawley are 16th in the form table. They're 10 points from their last 8 games, which isn't brilliant. And looking deeper into their form, they've actually only won 2 league games since the 19th of October. Following that, they had a run of 4 straight defeats. They tightened it back up a bit, had 3 draws, including 2 0-0s, and then they've been pretty slack at the back again recently. And I think there's a Miller's team here, high on confidence, who can take advantage of that. So Crawley's away record doesn't inspire too much confidence either. I think they 1 clean sheet on the road all season, which came on the 31st of August against Peterborough, of all teams, who were absolutely flying at the start of the season, and their recent form is a real concern. So on the Crawley side, if you include a 2-1 defeat to League 2 Bristol Rovers in the FA Cup, then they've leaked 2 or more in 4 of their last 5 in all competitions, which is not a good look for any team, let alone one that's coming up against an in-form, high goal-scoring side such as Rotherham. You can get even money on Rotherham here to score 2 or more, which looks a solid bet for the coupon, and well worth keeping in mind, I think, for this weekend. The final selection involves a team we actually backed against last week, Crewe Alexandra, who play Tranmere this weekend. So Tranmere, we'll start with them, beating 3-0 against Peterborough on Saturday. Now that is quite a telling result in itself, because although Peterborough have been on a pretty bad run of form, the fact that they managed to turn it around against Tranmere doesn't exactly inspire too much confidence. In their back line, there's plenty of teams that have had a bit of joy against Peterborough over the last few weeks. I think they've lost 8 or 9 in their last 12. So a loss for Tranmere isn't exactly a good sign. They've lost 4 of their last 7 overall, and every one of those defeats has actually seen them concede 2 or more. Furthermore, they've got 1 clean sheet in their last 15 games and conceded 2 or more in 6 home games so far this campaign, albeit several of those were against the top 6. And Crewe certainly aren't that, but I think there are potential green shoots with regards to Crewe's form and the Alex team as a whole. We were against Crewe, as I said, last week, and I think there's just enough value here to consider them getting 2 or more being a good thing on Saturday. The defensive record may be woeful, but actually against weaker sides they are capable of scoring goals, and they've shown that, and Tranmere are certainly in that weaker teams category. They've been scoring goals of late, just not keeping them out, which is obviously a negative, but it could end up being a high scoring game in that sense, and I think we're best off being with Crewe here. It's a huge game. They've already beaten Tranmere this season, so again they know psychologically it's doable. So Alex have covered 2 or more goals in 4 of their last 5 matches now, including a morale boosting victory, should I say, against MK Dons 2-0, which is good to keep a clean sheet as well. Where that game they had a penalty was saved at 1-0, and they went on to win 2-0. So hopefully that can be the spark that starts putting some decent results together and pulling clear of that relegation zone, which they have been threatening to do for a little while. It was just that last week they had Leyton Orient, who obviously very prolific, and we felt it best to be against them. I bet that ended up coming off. They've only failed to score in 1 of their last 11 games, and they're potentially good value, I think, at a longer price to score 2 or more here. The price is 7-4, best price in the industry at the moment, against the Tranmere side, who are really struggling at the back. And I think that 2-0 win over MK Dons on Tuesday night could be a real springboard for this Alex team to start putting some results together consistently and pulling away from the drop zone. So just to recap then, we've got Derby to score 2 or more against Blackburn. That price is 13-8. Rotherham to score 2 or more. That's the shortest price of the sections this week at even money. And Crewe to score 2 or more against Tranmere at 7-4. I'll be back next week with some more team goals picks, and in the meantime, have a good weekend and good luck if you're getting involved.